What if I told you that being taken for granted could actually be the most powerful thing to ever happen to you? Right now it feels painful, like you weren't valued, weren't appreciated, weren't truly seen. But here's the truth most men never realize. This moment of rejection isn't your defeat. It's your greatest chance to evolve into someone she never saw coming. Your pain is a hidden advantage if you're brave enough to harness it. You're at a turning point. You can remain trapped in resentment, wishing things were different, or you can use this moment to build yourself into a man so confident, so self-assured, and so powerful that she'll have no choice but to recognize exactly what she lost. If you're ready to turn rejection into power, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below, "I control my value, not others." Now, let's dive in. Number 1. The option she takes for granted. You sense it every time she makes plans without you, leaves your messages on read, or subtly reminds you that she has other choices. She sees your loyalty not as a gift but as a safety net, a fallback she can use whenever she pleases. Your willingness to sacrifice, to wait, to put her needs before yours has morphed from an act of devotion into an illusion of control that she holds. You've become a steady presence she feels entitled to, rather than a partner whose commitment she respects. The harsh reality is that your value has been placed in her hands, and she treats it like something easily replaced. Right now, you might be caught in a cycle of chasing reassurance. You might send her that extra text just to confirm she's still there. You might change your schedule because she asked at the last minute. Each time, you tell yourself it's just a small compromise for the relationship, that it proves you care. Yet the more you bend, the more she assumes there's no risk of losing you. And the more she assumes that, the more she explores other attentions, flirtations, or possibilities. Because you've made yourself a constant, and constants are often taken for granted. According to Stoic philosophy, you surrender your inner power when you let another person's whims decide your worth. Epictetus said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." In her eyes, you've become too predictable, a fixture in her life that always says yes. The moment you realize this, however, is the moment you can reclaim the control you've given away. Instead of handing your emotional state over to her choices, you begin focusing on what you can govern: your reactions, your time, your boundaries. The shift is subtle yet profound. Imagine you're withdrawing from a game that no longer entertains you, setting the pieces aside and walking away from the board, not as a tactic to manipulate her but as a statement of self-respect. You stop texting first. You don't rush to fill her schedule. You reserve your presence for moments where you feel genuinely valued. This absence of yours, once so unthinkable, becomes a force that unsettles her. She begins to realize that the safety net she's always leaned on is no longer there, at her beck and call. Suddenly your loyalty carries a weight she can't ignore. She's forced to question what changed, and in that questioning lies the possibility that she'll begin to see your worth in a new light. If she doesn't, that's her loss, not yours. You've reclaimed your dignity and re-established the truth that loyalty is a privilege, not a duty. For the first time in a long while, you stand firmly in your own power rather than crouching in someone else's shadow. If you're ready to let your self-respect speak louder than your desperation, share your resolve. I won't be the option. My loyalty deserves recognition. Number 2. Overextending your heart, eroding your dignity. You've poured so much of yourself into this relationship, time, emotion, energy, only to feel the slow creep of disrespect taking hold. She tosses out hints that she's still seeking attention elsewhere, posting thirst traps or entertaining messages with other men, and you find yourself making excuses for her. You tell yourself she's just insecure or looking for harmless validation, hoping that if you give her enough understanding, she'll finally see your worth. But each time you bend, that respect you crave slips further out of reach. Stoicism warns us that trading your peace for another's approval is a losing bargain. Yet here you are, conceding more ground in an attempt to keep the peace. Deep inside, you sense that something's off. You're not just being considerate. You're diminishing your own boundaries in hopes of earning basic decency. But respect cannot be begged for or bartered with. It arises naturally when both partners hold each other in high regard. The more you apologize for her behavior, the more you train her to believe that you'll accept whatever crumbs she offers. She posts suggestive photos and basks in the responses from strangers, knowing you'll wait patiently in the background. She flirts openly, trusting you'll forgive. Each time you bend, convincing yourself that this compromise is necessary for love. But the truth is, there's no love in a connection that treats your dignity as an afterthought. Stoicism offers a path forward by reminding you that external actions, her flippant messages, her disregard, are out of your control. What you can control is how you respond and whether you choose to stay in a situation that continuously tests your self-worth. Epictetus taught that we are only truly harmed when we allow another's conduct to define our internal state. Right now, you are allowing her disrespect to tell you a story about your own inadequacy. You're bending over backward, hoping to salvage her attention rather than protecting your own peace. Imagine a fortress whose walls you've let her breach again and again. Each time she disrespects your feelings, you lower a new drawbridge, convincing yourself that a final act of leniency will make her appreciate the stronghold you offer. But walls that fall so easily soon lose their power to protect. Eventually, she sees no barrier, no sense of value to guard. When you finally choose to restore those walls, to defend your dignity instead of begging for her understanding, you shift the dynamic entirely. She may test your boundaries, but she can no longer trample them. She may push to see how far she can go, but your silence, your calm resolve, now speak louder than pleas or forgiveness. If you're tired of excusing her disrespect and ready to reclaim your worth, let it be known, I won't trade my dignity for illusions of love. Number 3, the quiet shift that changes everything. You've reached the point where you realize that no amount of pleading, compromising, or explaining can salvage a sense of balance in this relationship. You've tried reasoning with her, hoping she would notice the weight you carry, yet all you get in return is more distance. It's as though your voice has become an echo in her world, barely registering unless it meets her convenience. When you finally grasp that sacrificing yourself doesn't mend what's broken, you arrive at a crossroad, and that's where the power of silence emerges. A choice to step back, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. At first, the silence feels unsettling. You worry she'll see it as weakness, or worse, she'll interpret it as an invitation to move on. But Stoicism teaches us that true strength often lies in doing nothing when everything inside you wants to do something. Marcus Aurelius once remarked on the value of restraint, that holding steady in the face of internal turmoil reveals more about our character than any forceful action ever could. By choosing quiet withdrawal, you're making a statement. You refuse to keep feeding the cycle that diminishes your worth. This isn't a manipulation tactic. You're not stonewalling to punish her or hoping she'll come crawling back in regret. You're simply reclaiming control over your emotional climate. No more anxious texting, no more chasing after half-hearted affirmations, no more rearranging your schedule around her uncertain responses. Silence becomes your shield and your boundary. Each moment you resist the urge to reach out is a moment you invest in your own peace and clarity. And in the stillness, you rediscover what truly matters: your mental well-being, your self-possession, and the unwavering sense that you don't have to beg for someone to notice your value. To her, this abrupt calm can be jarring. She was accustomed to your constant engagement, your willingness to fix any rift, your habit of being the first to initiate contact. Now she's met with a spacious void, one she cannot fill with excuses or half-truths. And in that void, she starts to question the power she once assumed was hers. Human nature kicks in. What was readily available becomes infinitely more intriguing when it disappears. Your silence, grounded in self-worth rather than resentment, plants doubt in her mind. She may finally sense how easy it is to lose something taken for granted. Yet the most important change unfolds within you. No longer tethered to her responses, you can use the newfound mental bandwidth to refine yourself, physically, mentally, spiritually. Instead of chasing her, you pursue growth. Instead of clinging to her attention, you direct focus toward a future that reflects who you are when you stand firmly on your own. In doing so, you prove to yourself that you can live and even thrive without scraps of approval from someone who underestimated your worth in the first place. If you feel a stirring inside, a call to stand silent rather than speak from desperation, let it be heard in your own way. I choose the calm that rebuilds me over the chaos that undoes me. Number 4. Her regret isn't your obligation. She looks back now and feels the weight of your absence in ways she never expected. The small gestures you once offered, midnight messages of reassurance, the unwavering loyalty you showed in every conflict, the gentle way you tried to understand her instead of judging, become vivid in her memory the moment you withdraw. She regrets taking you for granted. She replays the moments she brushed aside, wishing she could rewind and hold on tighter. Yet regret on her side does not translate into responsibility on yours. What she does with her remorse is her journey, not yours. You might feel a pang of sympathy when you sense the longing in her words or see it in her eyes, recalling the closeness you both once shared. But the Stoics would remind you that what weighs on her conscience is separate from your duty to yourself. Marcus Aurelius taught us to maintain clarity about where our control ends and another person's begins. Your sphere is your mind, your actions, your path forward. Her sphere is her own reckoning with choices made and opportunities lost. It's easy to let empathy blur the lines. You might be tempted to soothe her guilt, to carry some of her emotional burden as a testament to your compassionate nature. Yet consider how that responsibility can quietly undermine your progress. You've been through the storm of imbalance, stretched yourself thin, and nearly lost a sense of who you are just to keep the relationship afloat. Now that you've reclaimed your center, reintroducing her turmoil into your life can unravel the foundation you've worked so hard to stabilize. She may express sorrow through late-night texts or unexpected visits, hoping to find solace in the comfort you once provided. There's a moment where your heart might waver, where old emotions stir. But ask yourself, is rushing back to ease her conscience worth sacrificing the growth you've experienced in her absence? Stoicism reminds us that each person must confront the consequences of their actions. If she neglected your worth before, then her regret is part of her own self-discovery, her personal chapter of learning that some doors, once closed, do not open on command. This doesn't mean you harbor resentment or close your heart to compassion. Rather, it means you respect the boundaries that keep you aligned with your newfound peace. You have no obligation to patch up her journey or hand her the closure she did not offer you. Sometimes, letting someone face the emptiness they created is the most honest form of resolution. Let her questions hang in the air. Let her process the absence she once dismissed. In doing so, you honor both her humanity and your own autonomy. While it may be difficult to see her struggle, this acceptance of personal consequence is where genuine transformation begins. You are not her shield anymore. You are not the safety net that cushions every fall. Through her regret, she may gain a deeper understanding of what she lost and what she must change, just as you gained a deeper understanding of what you truly deserve. If you sense the pull of sympathy, but also the need to protect your progress, stand firm in your truth. Give her space to navigate her regret without losing yourself again. If that resonates with you now, let your conviction ring clear. I won't undo my growth to ease someone else's remorse. Number 5, reconstruct yourself with unshakable purpose. In the emptiness that followed your final withdrawal from her chaos, you found yourself at a threshold where the old patterns no longer held meaning. The calls and messages you once anxiously awaited no longer arrive, and you're left with a quiet that can feel both liberating and unsettling. Yet it's in this solitude, free from the noise of her demands and your need for validation, that real transformation takes root. Instead of pouring your energy into salvaging a broken bond, you now have the opportunity to direct that same force inward, forging a new identity that doesn't depend on her acceptance. You might catch yourself reminiscing, wondering if she notices your absence or if she might eventually return. That's normal. Emotional residue lingers, especially when you've invested so much of your heart. But each time those thoughts arise, you have a critical choice. Either slip back into the restless cycle of waiting for her approval, or channel that energy into building the life you've neglected for too long. Stoicism teaches that what matters is not the external turbulence, but how we govern our inner responses. Marcus Aurelius often contemplated how fleeting others' judgments are and how much power we surrender when we shape our worth around them. By no longer dedicating your mental and emotional reserves to her whims, you free yourself to cultivate resilience and depth. At first, this new direction may feel uncomfortable. You'll notice pockets of time you used to fill with texts, calls, or anxious daydreams. Now those moments stretch open, daring you to make something of them. Rather than letting them slip by in nostalgic haze, seize them. Commit to learning a skill you've always put off, whether it's mastering a new language, honing a craft, or deepening your professional expertise. Turn your restlessness into discipline. Rework your schedule so that every hour has intention, from early morning workouts to late evening reflections on what you've accomplished. Each moment you invest in yourself is a direct departure from the emotional captivity that once defined you. As your focus sharpens, you might notice an unexpected calm. The questions that used to plague you, whether she thinks of you, whether she regrets letting you go, fade into the background. You become busy living rather than busy pining. Physical improvements, mental clarity, spiritual grounding. These are tangible signs of growth that don't rely on anyone else's opinion. Soon, you'll realize that the most significant validation comes from the quiet satisfaction of meeting your own standards, instead of chasing someone who undervalued you in the first place. Ironically, this self-directed momentum may pique her curiosity in ways your past efforts never could, as she senses a renewed gravity in you, one that doesn't revolve around her. But remember, your path now is not about luring her back. It's about committing to a version of yourself that can't be swayed by temporary interest. The man you're shaping has no vacant space for half-hearted attention. He owns his mornings, controls his nights, and stands firm in his decision. That's the essence of Stoic practice, mastery of the self, and with it, the serenity that no external drama can uproot. If you're ready to fill your present with purpose instead of regret, let the world know. I rebuild my life. I refuse to be defined by who left. Number 6. Let her live with the consequences while you forge ahead. She may find herself suddenly desperate, posting pictures designed to provoke your attention or sending late-night messages that hint at regret. Perhaps she realizes how much she took for granted, how she assumed you would always remain within reach, no matter how many times she tested or dismissed you. But Stoicism teaches that the most profound lessons come not from being lectured or persuaded, but from facing the natural results of one's own actions. She diminished your worth, and now she must confront the quiet echo of your absence. You do not have to instruct her, nor do you have to engage. Her realization is her own crossroad, not an invitation for you to rush back in with open arms. This is the moment where your resolve is tested. You might feel the familiar tug of sympathy, recalling the early days when you believed the relationship could be salvaged if only you tried a bit harder. Yet that path led you through cycles of disappointment and self-compromise. Now, you stand at a new threshold. Instead of waiting for her to see the light, you choose clarity for yourself. No more negotiating your sense of peace for a fleeting chance at approval. No more twisting your schedule or softening your boundaries to accommodate her whims. You choose to live without the drama she once introduced into your life, and in that choice, you discover how liberated you can truly become. The real courage lies in resisting the pull of old patterns. When she calls or messages with half apologies or nostalgic references, it's tempting to believe that she finally understands your value, but be mindful of what you've learned. Words alone do not prove transformation. Apologies can serve as temporary bandages over deeper wounds, especially when they're motivated by loneliness or jealousy rather than genuine growth. Your journey demands that you trust action over promises, hard evidence over comforting words, and if her remorse is sincere, she will have to walk that path of self-reflection without dragging you back into the past. In forging ahead, you free yourself from the anchor of someone else's lessons, her regret, her attempts to regain your focus, her recognition of your worth. None of these should detour you from building a life grounded in purpose, discipline, and self-respect. Each day becomes an opportunity to reinforce this new framework, one that doesn't hinge on whether she approves or notices. You no longer inhabit the role of teacher or savior. You are simply a man who took his power back and walked away from a situation that consistently undermined his peace. She can sit with the emptiness left by your departure and contemplate what her choices have cost her. That emptiness is her teacher now. Your task is to keep moving forward. Invest your attention in what expands your soul rather than who once shrank it. Celebrate the horizons opening up before you and embrace the depth of life beyond her shadow. If she learns from the silence, that is her growth. If she remains unchanged, it ceases to be your concern. You are not obligated to fulfill the role she once assigned you, nor do you need to play the part of an antidote to her regret. You are free to create, to evolve, to experience a peace she no longer has the power to interrupt. But if you're prepared to step beyond her regret and focus on your future instead, speak your choice clearly. I leave her consequences to her. I follow my own path to peace. Number 7. Walk away and let her wonder who you've become. A strange peace settles in when you finally accept that you owe her nothing. Not an explanation, not a second chance, not even a moment of lingering regret. You've taken a hard look at the months or years spent trying to prove that you were worthy, that you could win her loyalty if you just gave enough. But something shifts when you realize how much of yourself was lost in that endless effort. Stoicism encourages us to recognize when the pursuit of another's acceptance becomes a cage of our own making. You reach this final step not with vengeance in your heart, but with clarity. Your energy is far too precious to be squandered on someone who failed to honor your value. There will be moments when nostalgia knocks on your door, fleeting memories of shared laughter, private jokes, the warmth of her presence on a cold day. You might wonder if leaving it all behind was too abrupt, or if you're somehow being harsh in denying her another chance to drift in and out of your life. Yet reflection shows that every time you allowed her re-entry, chaos followed. Her half-commitments chipped away at your self-esteem. Her ambivalence forced you into the role of a supplicant begging for scraps of attention. True peace doesn't arrive on the coattails of someone else's whims. It emerges when you decide, with unwavering conviction, to protect your spirit from further harm. Now, she faces your absence the same way you once faced hers. She might scroll through old photos, replay conversations, wonder about what you're doing or who you're becoming. Let her questions remain unanswered. You don't have to declare your progress or publicize your healing. Your silence speaks with a depth words rarely achieve. If she truly wants to understand how she lost you, the answers lie in the space you've created, space that used to be filled by your repeated attempts to make her see your worth. By choosing to invest in yourself, you quietly dismantle the illusion that her validation was ever necessary. People often mistake attention for love and possession for devotion. Stoicism teaches that real strength resides in self-governance, acting from principle, never from desperation or fear. When you no longer dance to the tune of her occasional interest, you free yourself from the emotional debris she once scattered in your path. You discover that the emptiness you dreaded is actually fertile soil where you can grow your ambition, refine your character, and restore a sense of wonder for your own journey. With each day, you become more anchored in who you are without her. The man who once twisted himself into knots to fit her inconsistent demands is replaced by someone who stands firmly on his own ground. Paradoxically, this self-assured stance might draw her curiosity because it defies every pattern she thought she understood about you. Yet whether she returns or remains distant ceases to matter. You are no longer waiting at the door with open arms and an anxious heart. You've stepped outside, locked that door behind you, and set off on a road leading far beyond what she once offered. If you sense the breeze of renewed possibility on your face, let it carry a final message for anyone who doubts your resolve. I owe no explanation for my peace. I have earned it by letting go. You began this journey feeling undervalued, thinking you'd lost something precious, but now you see clearly. What felt like rejection was actually liberation, freeing you to become unstoppable. She never took away your worth. She only helped reveal the strength you had forgotten was yours. If you're ready to continue this journey of transformation, like this video, subscribe, and comment below. I am unstoppable. Stay strong. Keep rising. Your future is waiting for no one.